well, thanks. You? On my camper van electric. So I wanted to install a current shunt on every circuit. So I know exactly how much power is consumed
Right.
and how much is generated. And so I can, through data, I know how long I can live off grid. I mean, there are current shunts available that you can install in any circuit. It's expensive because they're expensive and they're bulky, and possibly they're overkill for what you need now. So it was more of a. I mean, most of the time circuits are running less than 1 or 2 amps. And it's like, to get an accurate view of what's going on. You need an accurate device that's going to be on every circuit. But it's very geeky, and the challenge is how to make that not geeky, and that's what we're working on. A huge success for me is where my wife goes off into the camper van for a week off grid, completely off grid. Bless her. I mean, awesome. In Scotland last week with a BatMon app on a phone, and just loves it. It's like we've designed the UI with two interfaces. There's the geeky side, which has got all the data you'll ever need, and then there's the simple view, we call it, where it's just a smiley face or a sad face. And there's other data there, but if it's smiley, happy days. Well, clearly BatMon's not going to stop your equipment from failing, right?
No. But
what BatMon is primarily used for is finding out when things aren't working quickly. All right. Okay. And obviously, your battery state of charge, so you know how long. So it's basically protecting you from your battery running out. Yeah. So and that's every battery monitor with that main function. Apart from BatMon is extremely accurate. So it will tell you when your battery's getting low, and you can do something about it. But also, with BatMon's installed on every circuit, it'll tell you, for example, a really common one is when your alternator charger doesn't charge your leisure batteries. So your battery to battery or your split charge circuit, when that's not working, so you can instantly see when you're driving along exactly how that's performing. Yeah. And, I find, because my van is covered in lots of different vendors' equipment. So I've got a solar controller panel, which has got to be from one provider because it's got a screen in there. I can't change it because the screen won't work. And then if I take the screen out, I'll have a horrible hole in my van, So I always buy the same manufacturer of MPPT controller for that. And then I've got a different brand of B2B. Well, with BatMon on these, I've realised actually they don't talk very well to each other. In fact, that when the solar's on, the performance of the battery to battery isn't very good. So I can remotely switch off the solar panel, which will only generate, in the height of summer, 11, 12 amps, the 200 watt panel. Switch that off so that then my battery to battery can deliver its full performance of 30 amps. There's especially on the battery, but if you're not confident in electronics, they shouldn't be going anywhere near it. There's no other way around it, right?
I'd give it to my auto electrician to sort out for me.
Absolutely, any auto electrician can cope with it. It's really not complicated. However, and people you could be taught how to do it. It's just I can't I can't say that because it can be dangerous. I don't want to set it on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd recommend, if you're not confident with vehicle electrics, that an auto electrician be perfectly happy to do this for you anyway. So
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
you know, every install is different. I've seen a lot of people's batteries with 100 wires coming off them, off a battery terminal. That might take a little bit more to install because your installer might not want to leave it in a mess like that. And then you can see some batteries with just one connector coming off to a bus bar. That sort of installation will take 5 minutes to install. With 100 wires coming off your battery terminal, it might take an hour or two. Well, I mean, I was in North Portugal, and it was one extremely hot day, and my batteries went flat, and I could not work it out. And I still don't know. But if I'd have had, this was in 2019, if I'd have had BatMon installed, I'd know why. I suspect it's because um, the behind the fridge in the vent got so hot that the fridge went into some sort of mode where it just sucked power and drained the battery straight away, even though solar was on full tilt. You know,
Mm.
but I don't know. But I will know now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about how would you explain that? And there's two. I mean, technically, there's Ohm's laws and there's analog to digital converter, right? So actually, you don't measure the current. What you do, you measure the voltage over a fixed resistor to get the current reading, right?
Okay.
And an analog to digital converter samples and splits up that voltage reading into partitions. So, for example, it doesn't do this, but say an analog to digital converter takes 100 samples, right? Now, if you've got a 30 amp BatMon and you take 100 samples, 30 divided by 100 is 0.3 of an amp, all right? So your resolution for that is 0.3 of an amp. If you
Okay.
take a 300 amp shunt, yeah, 300 divided by 100 is 3. Okay, so your resolution is 3 amps. So already you can see how the 30 amp is a lot more accurate than the 3 amp.
Because it measures a smaller thing.
Yeah,
Ah,
because the granularity is smaller for the ADC to report accurate.
right.
So some BMSs on the new lithium batteries with Bluetooth functionality only report up to 1 amp or half an amp. So
Okay.
that's clearly you need to be extremely accurate. We sample 4 times a second to get the amp hour reading to accurately give valuable information. So if you don't know, I would basically say if you have say a power inverter in your camper van or your off-grid habitation, if it's a 2000 watt inverter, then use a 300 amp combination. If it's a 3000 watt inverter, use a 500 amp combination. And if you haven't got an inverter, but you have got solar and you have got battery to battery, I'd still use a 300 amp. So I'd recommend a 300 amp combo to most people.
Okay.
And to be fair, if you want a 500 amp, you shouldn't really be messing around with it. When you get to those power thing, talk to your automotive guy and ask them what they think for your system. You really need someone to look at your bespoke system and say, right, this is what you need. It's Bluetooth low energy. And we have to do that because the low energy part is critical. We cannot install battery monitors that flatten your battery.
No. No.
And when you're installing 7, yeah. So our first prototypes using Raspberry Pis 10 years ago flattened the battery in 2 days. So clearly that
Oh,
wasn't going
crikey.
to work. These are extremely low power consuming, and as a consequence of that, the range is shorter and it is Bluetooth. So there isn't you have to connect your phone to BatMon's to get the status.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Simon.
Take
Have a
care,
good day.
Aldrin.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.